We inch closer towards the pivotal moments of the season where lineups will be locked after the 27th when the trade deadline ends. But that's a couple of weeks away. And the trades have begun with a banger from the commissioner of the league known as the Tyrod Taylor Cover Band League.
What's going on, guys? Lou Boy here, throwing a video out for you guys. Reacting to this trade we just had between Alex and Brandon. Crazy. Saw the notification come across, wanted to react immediately, but I couldn't. Brandon had to, I think, make some changes for his team. We were kind of in that middle of the pack really early on. But I think that he gets the better end of this trade on Alex here. He's getting Bijan, Garrett Wilson. I know he's injured, but he's also getting Jalen Hurts. Should be pretty interesting going into about to start the playoffs. Both of them are trying to, vie for a spot. So it's going to be interesting. I think this is going to really change the outlook of the league. And I saw Jaden Daniels in the trade, I'm pretty sure. So just interesting. Want to hear the thought process behind these two guys. But definitely think Brandon won that trade. Let's go.
What up, guys? It's Kansas City Kunai with Chain, or if you don't want to say all that, just Brandon. I meant to do this right after the trade, but life happens, as I'm sure you guys all know. Coming at you from work as well, so if you hear factory noises, it's not fun. But anyway, so me and Alex made a trade. We were in talks, exchanging like Bijan and Saquon and like a few other names added onto that to like even out the values. For quite a while, like I want to say off and on for like a month, or maybe not quite that long, but we've come close to making a deal a couple times, but everything just kind of was like we were both hesitant, so neither of us wanted to pull the trigger. But anyway, don't need to explain all that, but there's a little backstory. It wasn't just completely random, but I kind of thought we were like done with talks, me and him personally. I thought he maybe had found other deals, but then he hits me up out of the blue and says that trade, and I had talked to him about wanting Jalen Hurts because I didn't really trust Drake May, even though he's having an incredible season. I don't know, and he has a good schedule the rest of the year, so I don't know what I was thinking, but all I did was give myself more decisions each week. And then, yeah, of course, Jaden Daniels. I think he is an amazing quarterback, but the injuries are worrying me, and him being on Washington, who's notorious for ruining careers over improper injury management, worries me. But obviously, I don't hope that happens. I hope he goes when he's back and destroys for Alex. And then, yeah, I just love Garrett Wilson. He's one of my favorite players in the league, so getting him on my team, well, that was, and also he's elite, but that's the main reason I wanted him. So I don't know. Landon mentioned that it seemed like I won the trade, and I guess I could like see it, but I feel like it's super even also, because like I didn't necessarily need a QB. You know what I mean? We swapped a couple guys who are on the IR off and on the whole year. Bijan for Saquon. In my opinion, I like Bijan better. If he likes Saquon better, he feels like he won the trade. I feel like I won it because I think Bijan's got more value. In my mind, to give you guys an idea of what I think, Bijan's like prime Kamara coming, the second coming of prime Kamara, the pass catching and the running. Just obviously he doesn't have like a Drew Brees at QB, which would help significantly, but Atlanta's got quite a few elite weapons. So anyway, my final opinions, I think I slightly won the trade, but overall I think it was pretty even. Maybe my value in players is flawed, or I guess it's completely opinion, so there's no flaw, but yeah, I just wanted to give my tidbit on that. And as I'm recording this for our trade, I get a notification for another trade. I'm gonna do another video for that one because Alex is wheeling and dealing.
I suppose it would seem that I owe you guys an explanation. Although, realistically, I owe you nothing. I can just let the answers float away in the mist and let you all think I'm stupid. But as you can see on the screen, I made a trade with my brother, and it was a pretty big blockbuster trade, if I'm being honest. I think that seems to be the general consensus. There's a couple of people that's like, you really didn't do too much. You just made a trade for the sake of making a trade, and that's fine. There's some truth to that. I did want to make a trade. To me, that's part of fantasy, is making those trades and having fun. But just to recap, I acquired Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley, and an injured Jaden Daniels for Bijan Robinson, Jalen Hurts, and Garrett Wilson. And let's make one thing perfectly clear. Yes, on paper, I probably did lose this trade. I probably did give up better players than I was getting back. I will fully admit that. Even though he is only position ranked 5 in the running back department, typically Bijan Robinson will be a top 10 fantasy player, a top 5 fantasy player, and all of the entire year. So yes, I gave up a lot for this trade, but it benefits both teams in their own way, in my opinion. And I'm the one who came up with this trade. So one, Brandon still has some questions regarding Drake May and needs a backup quarterback. Quite frankly, he had Jaden Daniels, who was injured. It's uncertain whether or not Jaden Daniels is going to keep his injury is going to keep him out for the season or not. They're going to evaluate on their bye week, but there is a very good chance that he's going to come back in the next 3-4 weeks, I would say. And yes, it's iffy to play him because he's hurt, but there's a couple of key reasons why I would take that gamble, because ultimately that is what my side of the deal is. It's a gamble, and I'll get to those in a second. But I saw Brandon's need. He inquired about Jalen Hurts a week or two back, and I figured this would be a good chance to dump him, simply for no other reason than I haven't really been playing Jalen Hurts, and even though he's a great quarterback, I tend to go the matchups route. This is a league where quarterbacks tend to score more often than not, and if you pick up the right QB at the right time, it ends up paying off, and I've been doing that, and I am confident in my ability to continue to do so. He also was getting frustrated with Saquon Barkley, which is where Bijan Robinson comes in. Obviously, Bijan's solid, and that is a nasty duo right there. So now I'm kind of looking at this and I'm being like, oh no, what have I unleashed on the world? But on the same note, the reason why I was willing to give up Bijan is not because of these past 3 weeks. Like I said, I'm so totally satisfied if somebody puts up double digits. In fact, right now as I'm talking, Breece Hall's game with the New England Patriots is over, and some people are going to judge it based off this one game that I lost the trade, but 8.4 points isn't ideal. Technically, Bijan Robinson's weak performances outperform that, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine. The reason why I was fine giving Bijan Robinson up is I really believe that even though he has a couple of nice matchups on his schedule, ultimately this year, the reason for some of his weak performances isn't him. It's not the amount of handoffs he's getting, because he's getting a decent amount other than against Miami. His offense in general has been letting him down. His quarterback's inconsistent. The wide receivers are inconsistent. They constantly drop the ball. And if they're not on the field, then he can't score fantasy points. And I don't know. I don't see that trend stopping anytime soon. Obviously, he's going to have games like he did against Buffalo where it's 38.8, or games against Washington where it's 29.1, 27.4. He's going to have 80-yard touchdown runs. He's going to have all that great stuff. He's a great player. But I think we're going to consistently see more performances like this than we have in other years for Bijan. And I could be wrong about that, but that's just what I kind of see the trend happening as. I know every player kind of falls into a weak slump. I don't think it's just that. I think in general, because of the 3.8, because of the 4.9 yards per game, I think the trend is that his offense is failing him. And that's ultimately why I felt comfortable making the trade, because one of the people I traded for is in a very similar situation, but I'll get to that in a second. He also liked Garrett Wilson and wanted Garrett Wilson, and I also just so happen to have a ton of wide receiver depth, which are often described as inconsistent, which is why I felt comfortable enough to ship Garrett Wilson off. He'll be out for 4 weeks, so it made sense to ship out Jaden Daniels, who on paper, as of right now, is rumored to come back at a similar time. Plus, Garrett Wilson has Justin Fields currently throwing to him. There is a chance that Tyrod Taylor will be throwing to him, and then I might regret this trade just slightly. But as of right now, he has Justin Fields throwing to him, who it's not guaranteed that he can get the ball to him. In fact, if Justin Fields remains the quarterback, that might actually benefit Breece Hall, the running back I have. Now, going to the players that I acquired, the reason why I traded for these is, one, Breece Hall. It's not confirmed or anything. In fact, you can only take rumors with a grain of salt. At the trade deadline, it was rumored that Breece Hall was going to get traded, and apparently a trade was very close to happening. But now that the Jets are putting in all the chips on the future, they're going to go through the draft, they're going to grow, they actually are rumored to want to re-sign Breece Hall to a contract. It's a rumor. There's no official article detailing it or anything. Just through the rumor mill. Apparently he was seen at the front office and renegotiating contract was the discussion. So if that's the point, then he might be a big focal point of the offense. And honestly, on that Jets offense, being the running back, yes, you need help, but he's the best player on that field for them right now. Until Garrett Wilson comes back, then you could probably debate that a little bit more heavier. But he's the best player on the field. He comes in and fits this bye really nicely. And honestly, I just like Breece Hall. And having players on my fantasy team that I actually want to root for is never a bad thing. I also believe in Saquon Barkley. He is much like Bijan Robinson's offense is doing right now. His offense has kind of let him down. It's hard to say that because the Eagles are still winning games. But I will say Saquon, unlike Bijan, is kind of trending upward. That being said, Bijan's probably going to go off this week. I don't know why, but he's probably going to go off this week. So I'll prepare myself for that, for everyone to just blow up and tell me I lost the trade, because Brandon's players are probably going to do better this week. But I like Saquon Barkley because he exploded against the Giants, went into the bye. Yes, 2.7 rushes, our average per rush isn't great. But when you can get 13.1 points, when your offense was just absolutely stopped pretty much the entire game, ended the game with 10 points, and you still come away with 13.1 points, I think he's still on the up and up, and his schedule's looking very easy in these coming weeks. And so I felt it was the perfect time to swap him out. I think he will get similar, if not better numbers than Bijan. Obviously, the big one that might not go that way is his game against Detroit, but Saquon is one of those must-starts, play him and don't even think about it players. So I felt like between these two running backs, I got exactly what I needed. And if nothing else, one of the things I kept running into if I do ship one of them off now, I can maintain the structure of having my 3 running back offense, because that's what it's all about. I am still looking for a wide receiver, and the trading deadline isn't over, but I am still looking for a wide receiver that is consistent. The key word is consistent. Whether it's 15 points, whether it's 18 points, whether it's 20 points, I want a wide receiver that you can guarantee is going to put up points and might have a bad week, might put up a single digit here and there, but for the most part you can put him out there and know you're getting those points. And originally I was using Bijan to get that, but I constantly was trading him, and in those trades, I was always left without a running back that I could depend on. And I think between Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor's on the bench during his bye right now, but between the 4 of my running backs, I can pick 3 that are those reliables and then use another one to kind of ship off and get a wide receiver that I can count on a regular basis. Although Rome Odunze might be that guy, and as Richard told me before, Marvin Harrison might be becoming that guy as well. So I might not need to do that. And what I could do instead is play the matchups a little bit better with the running backs. Obviously, I have Jonathan Taylor, who's going to be playing every game, probably a Josh Jacobs, but we can be a little bit more sneaky with our matchups and stuff like that if I don't end up trading him. And in a crazy season where people are constantly getting injured, it never hurts to have an extra running back that you can kind of slide in there as well. So there's a number of options why I would do that. I don't think my depth is too structured far back. I mean, I have 3 wide receivers. And I guess I do have Alvin Kamara too, because I traded for him, but we'll see. That's just even more potential trading depth. And the reason why I traded for Jaden Daniels is because, let's read his little description. Washington elected not to place Daniels on the injured reserve after he received positive news from a medical evaluations earlier this week. When he was told he wouldn't need surgery to address the dislocation to his non-throwing elbow, that he sustained in this past Sunday's loss to the Seahawks. However, Daniels was still ruled out for this Sunday's game against the Lions and will also remain out for the Commanders' Week 11 matchup against the Dolphins in Madrid. Pelissero notes that even if Daniels' elbow heals up well over the next few weeks, the Commanders' positioning in the NFC standings could be a major factor in whether the second-year quarterback is cleared to play at any point in the final quarter of the season. Entering Week 10, the Commanders sit at 3-6 on the season, and losses to the Lions and or Dolphins over the next two games could effectively remove the team from playoff contention. So that is the big gamble. In a keeper league, with how injured he is this week, I don't know if I have to worry about people drafting him, but I could potentially use him as a keeper. Yes, that's one. But two, if he does come back, I do think it'll probably be around this area right here, 14, 15, 16. Which just so happens to be an easy stretch going into the playoffs, so that could really benefit. That's why I was willing to share Garrett Wilson away. There is a chance he doesn't play at all. It is a gamble. Like I said, on paper, one of us got the more sure thing, and Brandon got the for sure thing. But by that time Jaden Daniels returns, it's looking like Terry McLaurin will be back, and he'll have Deebo Samuel, assuming he doesn't get hurt, going into this easy defensive portion of the schedule, which could be amazing in the playoffs if it ends up playing out that way. Like I said, it's not their playoffs I'm worried about. It's my playoffs. And if they send Jaden Daniels to go in and win some games, build morale, and get his reps in, assuming he's healthy, there's very good potential going against those teams. But there's a good chance that McLaurin will be in Week 13 against the Broncos. And so that's why I decided to do the trade for potential depth and keeping my 3 running back core while I still pursue a wide receiver, for getting 2 players that I think are going to have a big upside, and being willing to trade a great player for that upside, and then possibly preparing for the playoffs and next season by acquiring Jaden Daniels. God forbid he gets injured any further. And so that's why I did this trade. I believe in it. And even though, like I said, even though Breece Hall didn't have a great first game for us, I'm not going to let that disappoint me, because Rome Odunze in his intro game had 0, and then the very next week had a 20.6 game. So that's just how fantasy is. I'm feeling confident. And like I said, I'm playing chess.
It's Kansas City Kunai with Chain, Jesus, aka Brandon, coming at you a second time from work while I got some time, because a trade just went off in our league, pretty big. Michael Pardon, a name I don't see in the trade columns too often, makes a trade with my brother. Alexson's newly acquired Saquon Barkley, as well as DK Metcalf, in exchange for Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. And first glance, I value Devontae Adams over DK Metcalf for sure, and I value Saquon over Aaron Jones for sure. So I guess then the value becomes like Devontae versus, this is how my brain works, this is not how trading should go for anybody else. Then my brain like calculates the remaining value from Devontae against remaining value from Saquon. Based on how they've played this year, I would say it's a very even trade. Just Pardon got a nice upgrade at running back, and Alex got a nice upgrade at wide receiver. I could see some people being like, Saquon's worth way more than Devontae because he's not even the #1 receiver. But honestly, I don't know. With the way he's played this year, you can't. I don't know. I could see the argument going either way. I think it's a dead even trade. I think it helps both teams, which, as you guys know, I love trades that improve both sides. Nobody trying to like rip each other off. I know this league's for money and shit, but you know, it's all in good fun too. I don't know. Maybe that's a terrible mindset. I should be more competitive. Oh, I'm coming for you. Anyway, great trade, guys. I hope it benefits both of you. And yeah, that's it. See you. Good luck, everyone.
And now my master plan starts to come to fruition as we check the recent data. It's recent activity. And that is Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones coming to the Zan State for Assassins for Saquon Barkley and DK Metcalf. which I'm sure more people will think I lost, but ultimately I got exactly what I want. Davante Adams. Davante Adams has my interest. He's a former Packer. In case you needed a fun fact of the day. We can make something work here. Maybe I can get Davante Adams and like Aaron Jones or somebody for Josh Jacobs. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe I should get in his chat box, but I don't need a wide receiver. I already have like 18 wide receivers, and I'm sitting here making him the focal point of a trade. And quite frankly, that's some depth at running back while getting a wide receiver along with the depth I have at wide receiver that I can play and not worry about too much. Obviously, he's playing against Seattle, so that's not ideal. But Davante Adams, for the most part of the year, has scored in the mid-teens to 20s throughout the entirety of the year. He's had a couple of bad games, but most wide receivers have it at this point. And so he is one of those people I can swap in and not think about it too much. And I think Rome Odunze and maybe even Marvin Harrison Jr. are becoming that as well. And so I can play around with my flex role, but at the same time with Breece Hall, between him, Josh Jacobs, and Jonathan Taylor, and now arguably Aaron Jones Sr., because he is seemingly taking over the running back front. Obviously, he's only had 9 rushes and everything like that. I think he's going to do big against Chicago, if nothing else, for me this week. But I think I have a very well-rounded... Like I said, I never really used Jalen Hurts. I think I used him twice throughout the season. And I've just been kind of swapping in and out quarterbacks in that position. So I don't know. It is very much a risk, but I think my team is going to continue to be great. And I would say not only do we have depth, we have a little bit better depth this time around. So that was my ultimate plan, was to keep and just to emphasize it, I've already said it like 8 times, to keep the 3 running back core, which I arguably have more than that now, because I think Aaron Jones is going to start becoming the main guy in that again, since Jordan Mason is that who it is? Jordan Mason hasn't really been impressive at all. But Breece Hall, even though he had a bad week, so everybody's probably going to judge it based off of this stat line right here, 8.4. I think Breece Hall is one of those guys that can put up numbers. And if nothing else, a 15, 20 point a week on a regular average is going to be ideal for a scenario. Because if nothing else, the Jets do suck, but Breece Hall is going to get touches. You can guarantee that. And I think New England wasn't the greatest defense to showcase it, but... He's going to be playing Baltimore. He's going to be playing Miami. He's going to be playing Jacksonville, who's a passing defense, not a run defense. He's going to be playing the Saints. He's going to be playing Buffalo. And he'll get his revenge game at New England. So he's got a easier schedule. And so I think Breece Hall is going to be a great pickup and put up Bijan Robinson type numbers. Maybe not that much, but he's going to fill that void. And then on that same note, I could now ship a running back and get the wide receiver. This goes all the way back to my little video I did for week 10, where I showed you a day-by-day thing. In that first video, I looked at Davante Adams and I looked at Aaron Jones. And this whole trade was to get those two, or at least a wide receiver, without breaking up that core. And so I think I did that. I feel good about it. And so everybody can say I lost both of those trades, but I think I won this game of chess. I think my team is going to be great, and I think I'm going to make the playoffs and possibly win the whole thing. I really feel confident in saying that. So I got my trades, not just for the thrill of the trade, but I was playing chess. Just got to keep telling myself that if it doesn't pan out. All I'm saying, man, is if you took out Bijan Robinson, you took Jalen Hurts out of my lineup, you took Garrett Wilson, all 3 of those people that I traded away, and you minus their subtraction from my point total last week, I still freaking scored over 200 points. Put some respect on the fur assassins, dog.